I'm from the north of England. I'm from a little town called Buxton. It's close to Manchester. I've been living in Barcelona now for about 6 years so far. I've been teaching at Speak Your Mind now for about 5 years, more or less, yeah, 5 happy years. For me, Speak Your Mind is a different approach to learning English, and also as a teacher, a different approach to teaching English. It's something that's not so traditional when we compare it to the more communicative methods that a lot of different schools employ. It's something original, it's something quite dynamic, and something I really enjoy teaching. I think probably the main reason that I would give is the opportunity to spend time in a native speaking environment rather than a traditional classroom. That's probably the best reason that I can give. You're going to speak from the very first class, and every class after that you're going to speak to, and you're going to speak about things that interest you and things that you enjoy and things that are relevant to your life. I think what I like most about Speak Your Mind is that you actually have that opportunity to, to engage with the language and not to study it as a grammatical exercise, the subject plus the verb plus the object, but actually to communicate and to express what you want to express in English, as opposed to what your teacher wants you to express or what this textbook wants you to express. And to make it into a living thing, which a language is, I think that's probably the thing that I like most about Speak Your Mind, is that ability to connect with students and get into their lives a little bit and tell them a little bit about my life. And while doing that, they're learning English, they're improving their level, and of course if that's happening, I feel great as a teacher and everyone's happy. I've worked with other methods in other schools where going to work sometimes has been a bit of a chore, more of an obligation than a pleasure. Here at Speak Your Mind, I love my students, I think they're great, and coming here and spending an hour with fantastic people and improving their English and watching them grow, I can't really ask for any more than that. I think that's fantastic. I think in terms of the atmosphere in the classroom, it's always trying to strike that balance between having fun and learning something. We try to make the atmosphere in the classroom interesting. We try to make the classroom a place that people want to come to, not a place they have to come to. I think the most important thing is to strike that balance between being serious and really pushing forward and advancing our level, but also feeling relaxed. People don't tend to take in new information if they're stressed, or at the other end of the spectrum, if they're bored. Really, we try to work, particularly in the early units with beginners, we try to work a lot on just confidence, just building people's confidence and trusting that this classroom is a safe place. This is a place where you can make mistakes, and nobody's going to laugh at you, nobody's going to think you're stupid. You're learning a language, it's difficult. So we really try to create that kind of environment where people aren't too shy and they'll put a sentence out there and trust that the teacher's going to correct it, and in that way they're going to improve. I think it is a gradual process, and I think if you try to rush that process, or you want to obtain things that are maybe a bit above your level too soon, it tends to demotivate you. But I think accepting that it is a gradual process is sort of an important moment in learning English, knowing that you can't just study 20 hours a day and learn twice as quickly as if you studied 10. It is a gradual process, and words and structures take time to move from being concepts that we understand to things that we can use with fluency.
Oh, really? Yeah, I think he wants to go street. The house tremble.
And we also use this colorful. For example, maybe you're visiting a little village.
I think 2 hours a week of English is a base, really, and you will advance with 2 hours English per week. Obviously, the more you speak English and the more you practice English, the faster you're going to learn. I think the students who succeed with this method and the students who do best with this method are really the ones that consider the 2 hours here as a base, and they consider English a hobby, and they look for opportunities to practice the words and practice the structures that they've learned in the class, and look for opportunities to use them outside the class. So I think 2 hours is a fantastic base, and from there it depends on the individual people in terms of how far they want to push themselves with English and how quickly they want to learn. As a teacher, we can do a lot, but we can't learn English for you. And in that way, I think people have to practice as much as possible in order to get the level they want to get. I think listening to native English is really important, you know, whether that be American English, British English, Australian English. Obviously, native speakers have a different way of expressing themselves. They use a lot of contractions, their intonation is different. And obviously, at the school we have had teachers from various different countries. We've had Americans, Irish people, Scottish people, English people, Welsh people, an Australian. And I think that's fantastic for the students. Firstly, in terms of being able to understand different accents, you know, each one is distinct, and although they'll have things in common, they do have their differences. I think from a personal point of view, that's the best feeling that I can have as a teacher, to know that what I'm doing is working, it's making a difference. If that makes a difference in someone's real life, in their real relationships, their job, their ability to travel, I think that's, in a way, that's the best compliment that they can pay me as a teacher, or the school, or the method, is to know that there's something they can now do in their lives because of us that they couldn't do before. I mean, as a teacher, that's what you dream of, the best feeling possible.